welcome to Bowls and Beers. We have a third just in time.
Says he's muted.
It was going to be Zach and I as we wait for Matt and Robbie together, but Matt's managed to sneak on, and I filled my first drink of the day, and first because I'm going to need a lot to get through this one. So we're here to try to make fun around UB Athletics after a week where it wasn't that fun if you watched a football game. My week was particularly bad because I spent 3 hours on the phone with ESPN trying to get ESPN Plus to work. I actually had an ESPN help desk person be like, well, maybe our service isn't for you, sir. That's how bad it was. Because at the end, I'm like, look, I just want to watch the friggin' game. That's all I want. And you know what? It really wasn't for me. I could have done without watching that game. That was painful. Matt, I know you were traveling back from San Diego. Did you get to see it, or were you?
Nope. Nope. The last I saw of any UB sports at all was UB up at halftime on Penn State. It was a great place to be.
So we can blame you then. You go away.
Hey,
everything goes to hell.
Yeah, I mean, that might be part of it. We had some time before dinner. I didn't think I was going to be able to watch any of the Penn State game. We were able to watch the first half from a brewery, and I was like, let's go now. Let's go now before, we'll just take it at halftime. And my wife was saying, no, maybe they're going to win. They're going to win. I'm like, no, they're not. You need to stop this.
Really,
and, and then half an hour later, I was like, see, this is what I haven't seen anything. I was so jet lagged that not just the weekend, but I haven't even been able to do anything but wake up for work this week. I feel like today's the first day that I've been back on my normal sleep schedule. So I haven't seen anything. I don't even know if all of Liberty's long touchdowns came from the big wide receiver that I was scared of. What I do know is I feel
which way.
Yeah, after I wasn't sure, and fill me in, but after I wasn't sure what to take of, maybe a little bit pessimistic from Robert Morris. I didn't get on the show last week. I would have, if I were on the show last week, I would have been eating all sorts of crow. I would have been real excited about not just bowl eligibility, but a bowl game. I would have said this team is good enough to win 7. We'll make a game
with the rest of us last week.
And now I'm exactly where I was preseason. I'm exactly where I said, it's there, the talent's there, and without having seen anything of the Liberty game, I'm exactly where I was. I said, give me 5. I think 4 is more likely than 6. And that's big picture stuff. Again, I haven't seen anything in a week. That's where I'm at.
Zach, how was your game watching experience?
It was pretty rough. I was I don't know. I feel like I just got hit by a bus or something. That was just not what I was expecting at all. I figured if we lost, it would be, a late touchdown or something. And I knew that Liberty had a pretty good offense, so maybe they get it. Well, in theory, they hadn't been great this year, but maybe they get it rolling a little bit and we lose on the last second touchdown because they're the home team or whatever. But oof, that was over before the end of the first half. Really, at least it felt like it. But yeah, I'm pretty down on us again too.
To me, it felt like the Ohio game last year. I mean, it was almost the same replay. We go out there, we looked decent early. I mean, it was 7-7. It wasn't, it wasn't an explosive like the other, but 7-7. Our defense was looking solid. We were moving the ball, and after I think 2 series, the entire game went to crap. And that's kind of what Ohio felt like last year, where we went out there, we jumped on Ohio, we looked great on offense, looked great on defense for 2 series, and then everything after that was getting kicked in the teeth. And what was the final? Was it 35-17? I forget.
35-13 35-17. Sorry, yeah.
It wasn't even that close.
Yeah,
it really was not even that close.
That's the impression I got.
We kept the score that close.
It's because we got a late touchdown.
What was his name? The Golden receiver.
Antonio Gandy Golden. Yeah.
Gandy Golden. Yeah, he shredded us, but it wasn't just him.
No.
He was their main weapon moving the ball, but there were times where there were 3 wide receivers completely open, and our backs were trying to figure out where they looked lost in coverage.
Was Hugh Freeze up on the hill holding his staff in the air to win the battle?
He was on a little platform. It was weird.
It looked like a cherry picker. It looked like it was down, but
he was on the sideline.
Yeah, he was on a cherry picker
wow.
with a
But
crutch.
he had like a walker, and he was standing on like a
walker.
platform behind everybody else.
This is honestly the thing I'm most interested of, having missed this game. Like, this is what I want to hear everything about Hugh Freeze.
Well, I said last week, and I think I said in the post, the guy can flat out coach. That was not.
Yeah.
I thought the game might turn against us on halftime adjustments, but it didn't even take that long.
Yeah.
Like
I think we actually outscored
we
them
went to
after
halftime, and then all of a sudden Liberty came out and figured something out. After the first two series, the frustrating part was we moved the ball. Like, yardage-wise, I think they only outgained us by like 20 yards. Like, our offense was able to move the ball pretty decently, but so many drives stalled at midfield.
Missed field goals too.
You know what? Okay, I'm gonna soapbox that one. I love everyone who roots for UB on Saturdays. I love you all. But the number of people calling out our field goal units being like, oh, here we go again, have not watched the last 10 years of UB football. We missed 2 field goals. One was, 47 yards or something?
Mm-hmm.
And he just missed it.
Yeah.
And the other one was 39, and again, just missed it. And I know it's horseshoes and hand grenades. You miss it by a foot, you might as well miss it by 50. But if you're not panicking at extra points, then we are not where our field goal kicking has been for the past 5 years.
True.
It's night and day. When they go out there for a 47-yard field goal, I'm like, yeah, you could make this.
Yeah, he did make another
yards,
Yeah, he did make a 45-yarder in the third quarter too. So.
Yeah, he's got a leg. He's working with a new holder. Yeah, it stunk that he missed 2. And would it have changed the complexion of the game? Maybe. But asking a freshman to go out there with a new holder and kick a 47-yarder is like saying, why don't we just throw a Hail Mary from midfield and then getting all pissy at the quarterback when it doesn't land?
You know what I would love from UB? And I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a distraction. I'd love for their flecking stats page right now to have a line in the game that talks about turnovers. I wanted to come and look at the turnover ratio we were talking instead of having to wait to ask you what it was. And I'm on their box score for the game, and there's not a line for it. So that's nonsense. Sidearm sports is garbage. I'm cranky and tired. It looks like Myers didn't throw any interceptions. We didn't have any fumbles. So that's nice.
Yeah, I don't think there were any turnovers either side.
I mean, I feel like that's good news.
0. Let's see. Fumbles lost. Temple fumbled 4 times. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Temple scores. I go to ESPN to look at stats. I was looking at Temple earlier in the game. It was pretty clean. Stalled. That's all it was. We would stall. We'd miss a first down pass, and then we're screwed. Once we got behind the chains, we were. It
looks like we had 6 receivers with catches of 10 yards or more. Mm-hmm. All 3 of our runners had runs of 10 yards. And I know the big play is 20, but I mean, if you just showed me the offensive numbers, I'd say, okay.
It was a close game.
I don't know about close, but I think it was. I'd say
it was 400 yards to 390 something or 80 something. This is close.
If you gave me the offensive numbers and I saw 17 points, I would not have expected that we won that game, but I wouldn't have expected Liberty to be in the 30s. And I'm being very simplistic here. I know that I didn't see it. I'm not trying to, BS a game recap here, but it does not look as bad as I thought it was. and it was still that bad.
I don't think the stats bear it out. I think Liberty's defense played in such a way to contain us.
Mm-hmm.
Liberty's entire defense seemed stretched around, forcing us into a situation where we'd have to pass on third down. And they were content to let us whittle our way down the field because they knew once we got in that situation, other than Antonio Nunn, occasionally getting separation, none of our receivers got separation.
Yeah.
There were drop passes. Our passing game right now, and it's not the fault of Myers, and it's not really the fault of the line, but our passing game right now is just not what it needs to be.
Yeah,
and that's
I was ever so slightly concerned about that from the one half of Penn State that I saw too. I saw 2 long passes to Nunn, but they weren't exactly, it was Nunn making a catch around a guy's body. One in particular.
Nunn's separation is not like what we saw last year with, Johnson and KJ Osborne. We're not seeing guys getting 2 steps on people.
I mean, based on what I saw against Robert Morris, and I'm only going to draw Robert Morris. I'm not going to draw against the higher athleticism of Penn State, and I'm not going to say anything about just based on that game. We don't even need to draw a comparison to the NFL caliber wide receivers that we've had. And I'm going to include someone like KJ Osborne in that. I'm going to look at folks like, to go way back, Brett Hamlin, I'm thinking about Alex Newts Alex Newts I'd even, he made an NFL camp. But like, imagine like the number, I can't remember any of these guys' names, but like the number the number 2 guy in like the Brandon Oliver years behind Newts, like those kinds of guys, even those guys were more than what I saw against Robert Morris, and it doesn't sound like it's gotten better.
Well, I mean, Nunn's been hurt, and Zach and I were talking pre-show about just how decimated we got at receiver by both graduation and transfers. I mean, we lost 2 solid receivers to transfers, 1 solid receiver, 1 NFL caliber receiver to graduation.
Yeah. And a tight end.
We lost their tight end to transfer.
And they all transferred to Power 5s. It's not like they just went.
Yeah, and then none of them went to FCS. They all went to Power 5 schools. None is banged up. Cowbell's out. So. Also,
Barusa, or however you say his last name, I noticed on the depth chart. I believe he was not on the depth chart.
We are. Who was listed? I forgot the name.
Cole Burniston, I think, was one of them. He had a touchdown in this game.
Yeah, so I see Burniston on the chart, and I borderline don't even recognize the name. I was somewhat.
He scored a touchdown, and I hadn't heard of him before. He scored a touchdown in that game.
I had hopes for Barasa. I think he's a big guy. He caught that touchdown before the half against Penn State. From what I have seen of him and read about him, I think he can play that Lefevre role fine. I think he's not as experienced and savvy as Lefevre is, which I love Zach Lefevre. I am very surprised from how far he's come since when he first got on campus, and I think it speaks to how big a hole he's left right now. I think he's a very effective safety valve, not just for Myers, but for any quarterback. Even if we had a senior Tyree, I think Lefevre would be a huge part of this offense.
Would never see him.
I know, but we'd be pointing at him and saying, it's 3rd and 6. Look at this guy open underneath for the first down instead of trying to zing it in to, and Osborne would still be here, if Tyree here, Mabry would still be here. But Lefevre just kind of has that look and that savviness that I think the Leipold pound the rock offense needs. I remember watching Whitewater in their postseason run when we knew Leipold was coming to us, and they had the quarterback who could pinpoint things. They had the big wide receiver in Jake Kumaro, and they had the 3 running backs, but they also had a consistent ability to get 5 to 9 yards kind of from the slot guy or from a tight end position. And I just think that's valuable both in this style of offense, and it's particularly valuable in general with young quarterbacks. And
coming into the year, my hope at wide receiver and tight end coming into the year, kind of with all the losses, I said, well, at least Myers got the job, and the guys who he was practicing with last year are the guys who are starting now. I remember back in the Bills days, whenever Frank Reich would come in, you'd see like the secondary and third receivers and back and like the other guys all of a sudden pick up their game because they worked with Reich all week long. They weren't the Jim Kelly, they weren't the Andre Reeds who were practicing with Jim Kelly. I mean, Reich could throw to anybody back in the day, but I think I kind of look for that. I mean, Cowbell worked all year last year with Myers effectively, and so the two of them have that chemistry. Nunn was more of a first. I think was he our third receiver last year?
4th, I think. But
fourth?
Yeah, because we had Jones,
Osborne. The first offense most of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it's a huge gaping hole, but even when he was there, we got to get someone other than Nunn to get separation, and the only separation Nunn ever gets is when he gets a step on a guy going downfield. We don't see guys running slants getting that half yard.
Which is frustrating because slants should be an easy way to scheme space, because if you just start dialing up a quick slant, like that's unless someone I've got a narrow window here, but like if you've got a guy in a slot position running a quick slant, the cornerback covering him, even in press coverage is not going to be able to jump underneath it. The only way someone's going to get underneath that is if an edge defender comes over to come under it, and so like we should be able to scheme like safe passes for quick slants. And separation and other routes. I'm by no means an X's and O's guy, but like that much I understand. Separation and other routes, sure, it depends on the athleticism, but like there are ways to scheme getting the ball into space. You see, a couple years ago, a lot of teams are real excited about these like this stack formation out to they'll have three wide receivers, two on, one on the line, one just off the line, and one like three back, and they have that quick screen. The ball's in space. They got two blockers in front of them. Like that is the way to get the ball into someone's hands out in space without worrying about separating from a defense. These things exist, and maybe the staff is on it, and like we're just realizing the depth of the problem. Like I don't feel comfortable saying they're missing it entirely, but it feels like the solution that's needed. Like you got to find a way to get the ball away from the front seven without just taking a chance on 50-50 balls all the time.
On the long, yeah, I know. And that was a feature of the offense last year, and I liked to blame Tyree for that just because he wanted to throw the ball long. But looking, that's the same thing we're doing now. It's either a run or a long throw, and that's kind of what we got. It's the middling stuff is not happening nearly enough.
Yeah. Zach, what is Meyer's arm strength like? I didn't get a good read on it from what I've seen so far.
I think he looks pretty decent on like long balls. There's one where he heaved it against Liberty, and I don't know. I just haven't seen enough of him really to like say. I think he looks decent on like some of like the 30-ish yard passes. There's one where he tried like heaving it down the field against Liberty, and I was a little bit underwhelmed on the velocity on the ball, but I don't want to like say that he doesn't have an arm just based on that. So
I'm very enamored with like 15-yard post routes. Like I just think those are, and 15-yard sideline outs and curls and post routes. Like those are the kinds of throws that I think really are the meat and potatoes of drives. In the same way that chunking off 12, 13 yards on a run play, which we can do. And I always want a quarterback who can kind of get those on a rope, not necessarily trying to thread the needle all the time, but at least like consistently hit, 15 yards downfield. You figure with a few step drop, like that's a 20-yard throw. I'd like to have quarterbacks who can throw a good hard,
That's how we got Burns.
I think he can do that.
There yet.
I think he has. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think he will be there. I just don't think he's there yet with his accuracy and his strength. And that's how we got burned at Penn State. Was he tried one of those outs, and he just didn't throw it far enough to the outside.
Yeah, and I think it also goes back to just separation issue again. A lot of them are like, that wasn't a good throw, or it doesn't look like a perfect throw, but it's like maybe if that guy had a step on a defender, he's able to adjust to make that catch rather than expecting our freshman to slot it in there perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My impression is that his arm is okay. I mean, his arm is good. Definitely. I think his arm is, if you compare him to like Drew Willie or Joe Licata, he's got a stronger arm.
Yeah, I never saw Drew Willie, but definitely stronger than Joe Licata.
Yeah, definitely stronger than Joe Licata's arm. I think we're a bit that's the bar kind of high when we say strong arm. I think if you take Tyree out of our experience, look at him as just a plain old MAC quarterback.
Yeah.
For freshman, he's got a heck of an arm.
I mean, I'd say based on physical tools, I think he's above Willie. I think he's certainly a better runner.
Easily. Yeah.
Willie could place the ball, and Willie did not have a weak arm, but I think Myers will be stronger. But it's also
a strong arm, but you're right. Willie was smart as hell.
Yeah, and it's also not just Tyree,
right where he wanted to put it.
Yeah, Licata also had a big arm. Like Jazz Anderson, other things, but he could throw. He could throw hard. Maynard had a cannon. Like it's been Willie's probably the last time we had kind of a wily. I guess Grant Rohawk, but like the less said, the better. Willie's kind of last time we had a guy without a cannon for an arm. It's always been let's manage the mind side of it because we know they got the tools.
No, I don't think Licata had a cannon for an arm.
I think Licata had a stronger arm as a freshman than Myers does now.
I disagree. I have to go back and look at footage, but I disagree. I think Licata might have had a stronger arm as a senior than Myers does now. But Willie never blew me away with how he put the ball in there. Yeah, I never saw Drew Willie pass and said, "Wow, that thing really had zip."
And this is not to undercut what we're talking about, but I'm just like to emphasize the importance of what we've said earlier. Like Willie also had Hamlin, Starks out of the backfield, Naaman Roosevelt. Like, he had a receiving core.
I'm sorry, I meant Licata.
Oh, you meant Licata. Okay, yeah.
Stronger than Licata. Okay, yeah. Looking back at Willie, yeah, probably Willie may have been stronger.
I only said that to say this is how important separation is, not to throw more into the arm strength variable.
Yeah. No, I think, Zach, tell me if I'm wrong. I think the answer you're looking for, Matt, is enough.
Yeah.
His arm is strong enough.
All right.
If, Matt, to your point, we get the separation we need, no matter how strong your arm is, if your receivers don't get the separation, you go back, watch the second half of the MAC championship or last year's bowl game, and you can see what no separation does to your strong arm quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And speaking of what people will do, let's talk about our upcoming opponent. I have not had the pleasure of watching Temple yet, but I've talked to a couple of Temple.
The pleasure of watching Temple. Ugh.
That was said. That was not said literally.
I know. I want to emphasize that I still have bad vibes for Temple.
My feelings for the bad vibes have kind of eroded.
They've eroded, but I feel more acerbic towards Temple than I do like UMass or.
Oh yeah.
Even. Well, I mean, those are kind of like parallels. I wasn't around for the Marshall years, but we'll see. I should let you do your spiel.
The thing about Temple was they left the MAC feeling like their crap didn't stink.
Yeah, and they never beat the team that had a winning record. Yeah,
they have parlayed their membership in the AAC into a very good football program.
Mm-hmm.
But when they left the MAC, they were a friggin' joke.
Yeah,
they never won the division. They never obviously won the conference. And most importantly, I'll never let them forget this. They never managed to beat a MAC team that finished the season with a winning record.
Yep.
Ever. In 5 years of membership.
A great recipe to go 7-5.
Yeah, no, they were a great 7-5 MAC team.
That's a great recipe. Yeah. I was actually thinking, as you were talking about this Liberty Games feeling like a game last year, I was thinking of that 35-0 loss to Temple is like. And that was a little bit more of a blowout from the beginning than kind of holding with it for 2 drives. But that game is fresh in my mind right now.
Yeah. So I guess my hard feelings against them have kind of eroded because I look at them as like, you know what? Conference membership does matter. I think UB in that conference could play very similar to Temple because when Temple was in the MAC, UB and Temple were very similar teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just this is not related to the Temple game, but I was just watching Tulane. They were on earlier, or they're still probably on, but I was watching it. And they said they'd had 6 winning seasons in the last 30-something years. They joined the American, and they're a top American team this season, and they just got a brand new stadium. And I'm just I don't know. It's just
yeah.
I just think there's a pretty big. I don't know. I feel like some people are like Americans.
Holy cow!
Yeah, you got to go big, you got to go bold. That's why I loved Danny White when he was here. I mean, he came across as a car salesman sometimes, but the guy definitely was let's get the Benz, not the Beetle.
Yeah. He was just wasted on our level of support. You got him to a place with 50,000 students and an alumni base centered around the school and in that state, and who had the little brother syndrome like that. That's the place that could really use him, and we just couldn't. I want Ward Manuel back.
Now
I wouldn't mind him back either, but I think he's pretty happy at Michigan. I don't think we'll be able to get him back. All right, but speaking of Temple as a football entity this year, I see a lot of things in them that I saw in Liberty, and that kind of frightens me. They have a very proficient passing game. Was it 9 touchdowns through 2 games? Multiple receivers have done damage to teams. They beat a ranked Maryland team that I think we can all agree probably should not have been ranked.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse was overrated for sure, and people were saying it even before that game. Who did Maryland play week 1? They played Howard, who Boston College scored 49 on Howard in the first quarter a couple of years ago. That's been done. But I think Maryland is better than the last couple of years.
Certainly.
And I think it's still a good win for Temple. I think it's still a good win for Temple.
I
Like
think so too.
Maryland,
I put them at like beating a mid-level Big Ten team. I think Maryland's gonna be a mid-level Big Ten team this year.
yes, I'd agree with that. Like I would expect Temple to beat Illinois. I'd expect Temple to hang with. Well, I don't know what Purdue's like this year, but yeah, mid-level.
I think they'd beat Purdue. But yeah.
Yeah, I just can't remember if Purdue still got the magic that they had.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Like I'll expect Maryland to be. Basically, if Maryland can avoid that damn quarterback ACL curse they've had for 6 years now, and they managed to get to the Temple game and Temple beat them. Temple's, Liberty. I looked at Liberty and I said, all right, they got a big play receiver too. They've had trouble stopping the run. Like I think if we can control the tempo of this game, I think we should be able to take this, and we couldn't apparently. Temple, I am much more concerned, even before the Liberty results, much more concerned about our ability to control the tempo of the game. Their quarterbacks.
We've owned time of possession, and even in the Penn State game, and we controlled the tempo at Liberty. The problem is Liberty, every time they got the ball, was able, like, offensively, we could control it. Our defense just couldn't slow them.
I suppose I might use this in a way that isn't common usage, and that's probably on me. I consider giving up big plays and being stuck on the field is also failing to control the tempo defensive-wise. Like, even if our offense holds the ball for 6-minute drives and doesn't convert them into points, if the defense gets run over either in a plodding, 80-yard drive like we saw against Robert Morris, or in a quick strike 2-play, well, now we're down, that we just gave up 7 points. In both of those, I don't feel like that's control, even if the offense is giving the defense time to rest. And maybe I'm using that just whole world wrong. Temple's pass game scares me. I believe Russo is the quarterback we saw last year who maybe got hurt midway through the game and that turned the tide, or they had they had weird stuff going on with their quarterback situation last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't have that. They've got more confidence in all of that.
Yeah, he's throwing 67% completion. 8 yards a throw, 7 touchdowns against just 2 interceptions. Throwing for more than 300 yards a game.
Oh, interesting.
His rating is 165 through 2 games.
I don't understand college rating. We don't need to dig into it, but I don't understand the college quarterback rating. So that means nothing to me.
I just know that's
good.
I was just going to say, so we were actually wrong there. Frank Newtile, whoever that is, was the quarterback that played most of the game. Russo came in for 4 passes. I don't recall what the situation was that led to him being in, but I just wanted to correct
I feel like I remember in pregame saying, hey, if they go with Newtile, we're happy. And Russo, I remember pegging Russo as a danger last year. I just can't remember if their coach was behind the times and identifying the real talented quarterback, or
I think that's what it was. He took over and was the quarterback for most of the year, but at that point in the year, he was not, I guess.
Yeah, and then
we definitely caught them. They finished strong. Like they won. They were 7 of the last 8 or something like that.
If we played that game against them in Week 10, we would not have won.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, he last year. I thought he had gotten hurt early in the year. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Last year he didn't play. He came in at the end of the game against us, and then took over. And then they beat Maryland the next week, beat Tulsa. Yeah. So basically, once he took over, they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They were 7-2 after he took over.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they got a great passing game. Their running game isn't awesome, but it's passable, and they run and pass about the same amount. So I mean, they really do offensively look a lot like Liberty. Multiple receiver targets, a couple standouts, a good quarterback, and a running game that isn't going to win the game for them, but isn't going to lose the game for them. And that last drive against Liberty. Now, granted, this was after UB's spirit had been broken. But that last drive against Liberty really kind of concerned me because Liberty ran the ball down our throats. They hadn't done it all game long, and I was wondering if it's because they couldn't or they wouldn't. That last drive makes me maybe they wouldn't. Why run it when we can throw it for 50 yards?
That's what I was actually about to say. There was like one positive to take from the Liberty game. I think we looked pretty good on the run defense, which I don't know. It clearly didn't matter, but like that was like the one thing when I was looking at it again for my game recap was pretty good. So, I mean, I don't think that wasn't the primary concern of the Liberty game, and I don't think it will be in the Temple game either, but at least we have that.
Yeah, but the problem is if you can't really stop the run efficiently, and again, I don't know how we did that against Liberty once they really wanted to run it. You can't drop guys into coverage, and I don't think our defensive backfield has looked like they could stop anybody.
No.
And until we can stop someone throwing the ball, this will be a long year. Matt, you said you started the season in a place and elevated and came back down.
Yeah.
I started up and then kind of looked after Robert Morris, and then came back up after Penn State, and now I am down.
Yeah.
In the if we win 5, I'm down in the expecting 4 wins this year category.
I came in, I came in our preseason prediction saying 5, but I think 4 is more likely than 6. And you read my mind because I was looking, and I knew this conceptually. But after Temple, we're on the road to Miami, and then we're hosting Ohio, and I know funny things happen against Ohio. And I think there are definitely teams in the second half of the year that we can beat and should expect to beat, even based on what we've seen so far this year. But there's a possibility for a real hole here. A real hole.
Yeah, we could hit the bulk of MAC play where we should be winning games with 5 losses already.
Yeah, and we may come back and get to 5 wins. I think that's still feasible, but it's a heck of a way to keep momentum into the cold, weeknight part of the season. And I'm gonna catch Conrad's ire again. When we're 8-1, I'm just nervous about every loss. I kind of like sports for the storylines, I'm not used to winning, so I don't really mind so much if we don't do it.
This could be the season for you.
I mean, how many 2-10 seasons have I lived through since I really started? I guess Gill's first season, Quinn's second season, Leipold's second season.
I think it's different. I remember Quinn's first season, and all I remember was 2-10, but damn, were those games close. And that was new. That was very new. Quinn losing in triple overtime to Bowling Green was wow, that was a fun game to watch.
Yeah,
Gills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, Gill just had that knack for close games. That even.
And he won them, and he started winning them. Yep.
I need to stop myself, but that 2008 season could have just as easily been 9-3 as it could have been 3-9, just as easily. And we ended up being 8-4. But anyway. I'm looking. I'm in about the same place I was. This is kind of, if you would ask me how are the first 3 games going to go in our preseason bowls and beers, I would have said I don't know what to expect from the defense, but I hope to win by a couple touchdowns against Robert Morris. That's going to be big. The final score is about what I would have expected from Penn State, but we showed real signs of being a team that can execute, which is great. And even back then, I would have expected Liberty to be closer than this. And after Penn State, I really expect to be Liberty closer than this. Temple doesn't have Rock Ya-Sin at cornerback anymore. So, if we had any hope for separation, could you imagine with that whole conversation, we tried to deal with that with a possible first-round cornerback also, just blanketing none and saying.
So I was thinking this as well. And when I was looking into my opponent overview, they have one of their new best defensive players. His name is Harrison Hand, I think, is a cornerback, and he was a 2-year starter for Baylor before transferring to Temple for some reason. So he's also pretty good. So probably not Rock Ya-Sin good, not second round pick good, but we'll see. He's supposed to be good. So
yeah, I don't know if it's coaching or just the natural cycle of talent coming in and leaving. But our receiver course, I don't think anyone right now is going to watch film on us and be like, "Oh gosh, how are we going to handle these receivers?"
Oh no.
It's simple. You put your best corner on none. You give him a little safety help, over the top, and just jam everyone else to the line.
I honestly don't even think you need the safety help. I say you let him go, and if he burns you for 40 yards twice a game, and and you're stopping everything else,
yeah, that's true.
Our offensive line is still healthy, right? No injuries on that front. I'm not going to get to the injury report this week. I'm going to focus on the
line is pretty solid.
Okay, so
they didn't look great against Liberty, though. I also
I know they're healthy. They're healthy. I really enjoy on offense. I really enjoy the good Brandon Oliver years, not the Brandon Oliver inexplicably getting carries over Eichen and Duca years, but The good brand I really love 4, 5, 6 yards, sometimes 10 at a time. And so like that's the offense I want to watch. And so I will always hold out hope as long as our offensive line is healthy that we can march the ball down the field. I won't ever lose hope on that with the running back talent we've got.
I'm at the point where I say offensively, this could be a 7 or 8 win team. Just on the offensive line and the running backs, and having a court. And Myers, I think, is good enough to not lose games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you didn't,
offensive tools. I just think defensively, and again, I don't want to crap on people too badly. Just realize we only have 3 returning starters. Yeah. Defensively, I think we're just going to be so overmatched by teams that are. I think Ohio. I watched the Miami-Cincinnati game.
I watched part of that
and Miami looked good. I mean, the second half didn't go so well for them.
I've been high on Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, they played Blaine Gabbert's brother as their quarterback. He's a true freshman. He looked pretty good against Cincinnati.
That's part of the reason I was so high from what I saw from Penn State, because in that first half, the defense swarmed. They were positionally sound.
Exactly.
They executed. There were a couple times where, Penn State was bigger, but there were a couple times where they made a good open field tackle on screen passes and things, or swarmed a guy and held him for no yards after catch. I was like, okay.
They were all over the ball. Yeah.
I was like, this is what a young team needs to do. They need to execute and they need to be consistent. And then it didn't carry over. And I'm not surprised that they couldn't keep it up for a full 60 against Penn State, but I am surprised that they couldn't
keep it up for 10 against Liberty.
Yeah,
I almost feel like that was like a reverse home field advantage for Penn State. I feel like our defense came out like excited about the game. A lot of fans, national TV, and they were swarming. They had like a handful of tackles for a loss. They were all in their backfield. They had a couple sacks, and I don't know. I still like the front seven defensively. I think they've been good. The run defense has been good. We've gotten like a couple sacks a game, pretty much each game. I think the front seven's pretty good. The secondary is just and even Joey Banks, I think, is good in run support. He was the player of the week against Penn State, but I don't know. We can't do anything. I don't know. The pass defense is dreadful.
I've just got images of that. Oh gosh, let me put the right NFL teams together. Who was it? Odell Beckham against
Giants.
Against Miami this week.
Jets.
Against the Jets. And the safety just running by. Like that. I've just got images of that for our secondary. Like they're just taking the worst angle I've ever seen. They're just running by him. And Odell keeps going this way. It's like, all right, well. That's the
thing. There were so many plays against Liberty where the ball was like there was one. The one that killed me, I think, was a touchdown. I don't remember if it was a touchdown or just a long one that got them in the red zone. Where our defensive back was actually looked like he was positioned where he could have made a play, but he was just completely lost. Like he just had no idea what was going on.
I don't know if this is the one that you're talking about or not, but there is one of the touchdowns that Antonio Gandy Golden had. I was pretty sure it was an offensive pass interference. Like our guy was right on him and he pushed off and then was just like caught it in the corner. I don't know if that was the same one or not. I was angry when that happened.
Not caught in the end zone. I know the one you're talking about, but there was a couple where it's like he had just worked so hard to get back into the play that he had no idea where he was or what was going on, and just got the ball caught over him like he wasn't even there. Again, I don't know. I don't know if it's coaching or experience.
I'm willing to lean experience, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to wait till the end of this year till I make any overwhelming, sweeping generalizations on coaching, just because of the turnover. But you guys know I've typically been very reserved about calling out coaches since year one. I was pretty hard on the coaches in year one, but I'm leaning that way again. I just want to see more before I stick my foot in my mouth. All right. What is that?
What's that? Oh, I was just going to say, I never I don't pile on football coaches just because I admit that I'm not as familiar with X's and O's, but I always just come back to my answers like how many games it feels like we won where we had less talent than the other team versus how many we lost where we have more talent than them. And I don't know. I just feel like the losses are probably higher than the wins. Like off the top of my head, like I think the Temple game last year, we were probably the less talented team. That was a good win. the list might end there for Lance Leipold. I don't know.
Yeah, that kind of conversation is where it gets to me, where it's just like, I remember how bad we were in all sports. And I feel this way about the Bills too. Even just getting to a place where we win the games we should win and don't have any clunkers. Like, I'm thrilled if we beat a team and we're the less talented team, but like, what I want and what I'd be pretty darn happy with year in and year out is not having bad losses.
Well, I agree, and it kind of.
And I don't think that undercuts what you said.
I think I'm kind of the same way. It's just like, even if we weren't winning the big games, I wouldn't be as angry about it if we weren't getting blown out by Liberty either.
Yes. I'm less excited by the win over Temple last year than I am sad by the loss to Liberty this year.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because Temple had just lost to Villanova. It was like
trying to figure all this out. You guys are way ahead of me.
Oh, well.
See, for me, it's all the halftime adjustments. I think that's when coaching is really revealed, is in-game adjustments. I think Lance Leipold has shown himself to be an excellent game planner. I think UB has entered a lot of games with good schemes and good plans. But was it Tyson who said, everyone's got a plan to get punched in the face? And it seems like when UB gets punched in the face at the halftime, that's it. Like, if we have not built a big enough lead, and
sometimes even when we have,
and completely demoralize the other team, the game's in jeopardy up until the first 3 drives of the second half.
RMA is reminding us of the Toledo game last year, and so that is also a game that historically we lost, and last year we pulled it off. So we should add that one to the
sure.
And which, sure. So thanks for the reminder.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I hope it's not a mistake. I hope I'm right. When I looked at the preseason, did my preseason predictions, I for some reason said, okay, these are the teams we should beat. Mm-hmm. And I think we can upset one more team. I had Liberty marked down as a should-beat team. Talent-wise, I think we matched them. Again, if we had lost by 4 points, I think Matt's point would hold. It's like, it's a toss-up game against another team on the road. And, credit to the Liberty fans. They showed up. And for an 0-2 team that was losing as badly as Liberty was.
And for a dry campus.
They showed up.
I think there's something to that, though, because I don't know how religious Grand Canyon is, but I know that they're also like a religious-ish school, and they also have one of the crazy student sections. I think Liberty.
I think there's an aspect of
not shrinking. It just makes the football game the thing to do. Like, there's no frat parties to be leaving early to go to or whatever.
I think there's also an aspect of getting your subcultures to overlap. And so if you're at a more religious place, there's already a tighter feeling of community in that group than there might be at a large state school with a high international population and folks from Long Island and folks from up Western New York, in Buffalo. Like, I think
I wasn't trying to make this about us versus them. I'm trying to say college team. Yeah,
I am also not. I'm trying to say that I think the same things that make Grand Canyon and Liberty strong schools from a united religious front also make them strong schools for having an engaged community in any outlet.
And BYU is another, and the service academies too. None of them have BYU is a pretty good athletics program overall, but none of them really have.
BYU's done enough to earn it.
Yeah, they're all 25 because they get to go on their mission trips.
Yeah, but I don't know. They all have overwhelming if you were to look at a graph of athletic success versus fan support, they'd be big time outliers.
When they show the sidelines, I'm like, this is a team that got humiliated in their game opener against Syracuse at home, and then gave up umpteen million yards to Louisiana in week 2. And good on them. Hopefully, I think our student section's there. I think maybe our stadium is just so bad it doesn't look like it.
The first game, they were they had the entire east side 100 section packed, but they all left at some point in the third quarter.
It's been 5 years I've been disappointed with the UB student section. I consistently see pictures on Twitter. I see them on the video. And I say, all right, students showed up, and and people could say, hey, we're a school of 30,000 people. There should be more, but I gotta say, if the students fill more than half of that sideline, I'm like, all right, like that's a couple sections. You can make some noise. We got the metal benches, like,
Yep.
you know, I've been really happy.
And more than that, they're enjoying it and kind of connecting as a school.
Yeah.
Like, like that's the real thing there.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to predictions, we had our special request on Twitter to go over the men's hoop schedule. I have been so dang busy this week. I'm not jet lagged. I'm cross country lagged from coaching 3 meets and running all over the planet. So I'm gonna turn it over to Zach, who's kind of our schedule expert here. Zach, what's your take on the schedule this year? And then we'll all kind of throw in.
Sure. Let me just pull it back up again so I have it all in front of me. But
our expert people.
Yeah. But when it got announced, I had already pulled everything together except for 2 games. The new 2 games are Nazareth on the 11th at home, and then we play DePaul on the road. I think I've been seeing some complaining about the schedule on Twitter. I don't know what people were expecting. I don't know, because we were top 25 last year, they all of a sudden thought we were going to be getting like Villanova at home or something. But like, I mean, we got Harvard on a neutral court, who's probably going to be borderline top 25. UConn on a neutral court, who will be pushing for a tournament bid. And then also in that tournament, Missouri State will probably be a tournament team. Miami will be pushing. Florida is a championship contender. Xavier will be a top 25 team. And then on the road, we have 2 Power 5 winnable games at Vanderbilt and DePaul. Those are both games that will look good on paper, even though neither of them are like overwhelmingly good, even with a lot of turnover. I think we still have the talent to, if it pulls together, to take those games. And then we got the Big Four and Damon all at home, so those should help draw good crowds. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I think it's got the winnable.
Do we have all the Big Four games at home this year?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, wow. That's something.
Yeah,
I don't remember the last time that happened.
I think the thing was that Niagara, was our alternating, because I think we were like more or less on Canisius and St. Bonaventure on one year, and then Niagara on the other. But then Niagara skipped out on last year, but they owed us a home game, so it ended up being this year. So we have all of those at home, and then Damon and Nazareth. I mean, Nazareth probably won't, but I think Damon gets some fans. I think that those games are usually pretty well attended. And Dartmouth, we played last year. They should be decent. William and Mary is a solid mid-major program. So Army is another game that will, if it's anything like the football game, we'll get some fans there just from a brand. Overall, I think it's a pretty good schedule. I'm pretty happy with it. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know that the folks, especially the folks who are watching this, but even generally the folks who really are our core readership at Bull Run don't need to be reminded of this. But I think people on Twitter and people who have only been around maybe since Hurley came on, and I'm happy you're here. We are never going to get people into this barn. Even before Hurley came around and we became a team that really had some buzz, people did not want to come here. Reggie Witherspoon's first game, he didn't know his players' names, and we had a lead on number 2 North Carolina at the half. Like in 2007, we almost beat Pittsburgh in our house. In 2008, we almost beat UConn in our house. Both were number 2 at the time. Like people are scared to come into Alumni Arena. And I am very happy with the schedule in 2 ways. One, there are schools that we're playing in neutral sites that we would have to go on the road to play in years past. All those guys at the Charleston Classic, those would be road games if we wanted to go and play them in years past. The last couple of years, we've been playing bigger other than Florida. We've been playing higher, Elite 8 caliber teams. And other than Florida, I'm not sure that anyone else there has a strong shot as kind of the Blue Buzz we've been playing lately. But then also some of these mid-majors are schools that we had to go on the road to catch in years past. Like South Dakota State canceled because of a snowstorm. But when we did play them, we had to go on the road. We had to go on the road to Evansville a couple of years in a row. And Evansville's not a great program, but I think if you're looking at somebody like Army, if you're looking at someone like William and Mary is shaping up to be this year, I just think that we've been able to get people in just slightly more favorable environments than historically we've been able to. We're not able to get someone like Vanderbilt into our house, and we never will until we kind of lose our prestige, which we don't want to do. And the other thing I want to talk about is that I really appreciate and am excited about the shift this year from 2 or 3 real big teams to kind of prepare us for playing real big teams, an acknowledgement and an awareness that we're a younger team, we've got a little bit more turnover here. There's kind of a different value that can be drawn from non-conference play than gearing ourselves up to get some competition that you might not see in the MAC schedule. This to me feels like an out-of-conference that's going to be useful to prep you for the grind of a MAC schedule, more so than it's going to be useful to prep you for the elite competition you see in postseason play. And I do think we're good enough for some postseason tournament. I expect us to be top 3 in the MAC. I've said that before. But I'm really excited about how the non-conference will set us up in a variety of opponents and situations for, what is it? It's 18 games now in the MAC for 3 months of conference play and for tournament play there.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit everything I was thinking on it too.
Sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's probably right.
That's kind of
I'm pleased with how this all came together. You know, this to me is similar to the recruiting situation, which was you have a program which had new coach, lost its starting lineup, lost its recruiting class, but held together its core and then put together a pretty respectable mid-major schedule. I'd love it if we were going to go play, you know, a season opener at Kentucky or wherever. But honestly, this year that would just be a body bag game for us. You know, could we be good enough to jump up and beat someone? Yes. Is week 1 the week when that's likely to happen? Probably not. These guys got to get some game time together. It's not. I don't see too much weakness in the schedule outside of, you know, Cryegra and Canisius. You know, we have the Big Four in, so you've hit everything, right? The revenue mark by having the Big Four come in, and some teams that are recognizable names, if not basketball powers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Zach talked about it. Like, the Army branding is worth something, even if basketball-wise they are nowhere near the power of their football program, right? And I don't know that they will ever be again a good basketball team just because of the athletes they recruit. But they're a great name. And I think a lot of people complaining on Twitter. What?
It's rare.
I really don't want to get into pointing fingers at like young fans or anything like that, but I really think that anyone complaining about the schedule does not remember what it was like trying to pull a schedule together from 2010 to 2015. Like,
I'm a young fan. I take offense.
I mean, it was a lot later this year than it's been. Even back in the Witherspoon days, we had the schedule out sooner than this.
Oh, I'm not even talking about time. I'm talking about the ability to get quality opponents at all and to get home games at all. Like,
oh gosh, I mean, we had to go play New Hampshire at their barn forever.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, we played. What did we play? 4 games in Hawaii that one year, and only had 4 home games before conference play. I mean, we won that tournament, so like, way to go, Andy Robinson. But that
was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that was the good old days of UB fan. I'm getting stressed. You know, that was when this. I'm just going to be distracted for a minute. Then the good old days of one person buying a stream and sharing it with everyone, and you know, and everyone just kind of share the load from week to week. That was before it was all consolidated. Those were good times.
But so the hoop schedule's good. You should go buy tickets. I heard season tickets are basically gone now. At least the good ones are going.
Which I'm annoyed about because they haven't even reached out to me yet. I put my deposit or form it. Ticket office has been a struggle. Same thing.
Here's another young fan moment. Another young fan moment for you. Never trust the ticket office at their word. Just
I have tomorrow off. I might have to just march in and talk to them.
Yeah, like it goes back years of people saying the game, you know, football season starts in 10 days and I haven't seen my tickets yet. And then like, you know, and
I got my tickets the day of the game.
I have emails saying that they were
my money.
Yeah, I have emails saying they're going to send things and you know, and part of it's because I have tickets sent to, you know, my mother in Western New York and I cover them, and she's like, nope, nothing arrived. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just call them again. And I got some student who was like, all right, yeah, I'll do this and this. I'm like, oh, I hope so. I hope you're going to do it.
You better.
If I don't have too much homework, then.
I mean, at this point, we've had the seats for 15 years, so like they better know that something's wrong if they don't have it together. You know, like if their system comes up and they don't have me in those seats, they better catch it before I do.
So yeah, that's our hoop schedule coverage. It's a good schedule. We've had our running schedule tracker. It'll be updated in the next day or so. I myself
have the
am
sheet
4
open.
articles behind this week. I will get caught up. Finally, the cross country week is over for me. Next week is the last week of one of my kids' seasons, and my other kid's season is switching between 2 other teams. So I'm a bit crazy for the next 3 weeks. All right, that gets us to predictions, and I'm going to get caught flat-footed here because I have no earthly idea. So I'm going to throw Matt under the bus because I've been thinking coaching is the issue, but Matt going away for 6 quarters, that's been the issue. Matt, go ahead and make the call.
Well, I thought you were going to throw me on the bus because I didn't actually end up getting a pick in last week, but I can assure you I would have gotten 0 points for it.
You were in San Diego with the wife.
Yeah.
Give me a bit.
I am scared to give too many points to Temple, but it's not lost on me that we've given up an average of 40 points the last 2 weeks, and some of that's on a pick six. I think I'm going Temple 38, Buffalo 22.
So that was almost my exact projection. I was going to go 38-21. I'll mix it up. I'll go 38 20. I'll give us 2 field goals. Cleveland Kit Kat happy. So 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Yeah, I feel like we might hang in there for a little bit, that just being back at home and being pissed off about how last week went. But I think Temple's going to be able to score too quickly for us, which has kind of been the story of getting down at Penn State and Liberty too. Like, we say we can control the tempo, but to me, just running the clock isn't controlling the tempo, because if you want the tempo to be fast at the end of the game, but all you can do is run for 4 yards, 3 yards, 5 yards. It's not really having control of the tempo. That's just running out the clock. And I don't know. I don't think we have the quick strike.
Well, it's controlling the tempo. That's what
you
want the tempo to be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, when we get down in these games, that's not the case, and I don't think we can afford to lead these long sustained drives and be able to keep up with a team like Temple with the passing attack that they have. So I feel like we might hang in there for a little bit, but I'll go with 38-20 final.
I'm gonna go 38-17, and I'm gonna say 17 because we're gonna miss a long field goal, and a bunch of people are gonna lose their shit on Twitter about it, complaining that he missed a 51-yard field goal early in the game, and this is just like when we couldn't hit extra points.
Has Leipold ever attempted a 50-yarder? I'm sure it's happened once or twice.
I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet if we stay the way we are, we'll get an attempt, and we'll hit one. We'll hit one.
I'm supposing we've seen his leg the last couple of weeks. I have like vague memories of like 48 to 52 yarders consistently being punts. But
or field goals that land at the 10. We're out of bounds.
This might be the week for the 50-yarder, though.
This field goal kicking I've seen since probably 2000.
Yeah, I mean, Principe was awesome, and we at least knew it at the time.
Yep. All right.
Well, we got your audio.
All right. 3 things Tim learned. I learned that Matt is the real reason we've lost the last 2 games, and that he needs to be glued to a TV. If there's some kind of offering we could make to get you in front of the TV for 4 quarters, let us know.
I think I'll be good this week.
I learned that people complain on Twitter about basketball schedules that are actually pretty good schedules. And I learned we don't quite agree on the arm strength of Myers, but we all agree he's pretty good for a freshman.
I think that's just a product of us all probably keying on like 2 throws that he's made out of like 20 that we've seen so far, like probably like 2 stick in our head. But I think he has decent arm strength. We'll
I think
find
it's a
out
basis.
more.
I think it's a basis of experience thing. I
Yeah.
mean, unless you've been watching UB football for a really long time, so I mean, I think Drew Willie's still hands down best quarterback we've had, in it's in the modern FBS era. But he did not have a strong arm. If he had a strong arm, he would have stuck in the NFL a little longer than he did. Myers, I think, has a great arm. I just think he's young. It'll develop. All right, that's our hour. We just hit an hour. We're going to get out of here, do the post game. Good luck, everybody, on your brew peg picks. Get them in. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.